All right. Okay. Maurice, Nugent, welcome to, and thanks a million for coming and chatting with us. This is the fourth chat we've had with talented sports stars from Ennis and Clare. We're very lucky to have so many talented players, and I think it's very important that we highlight you. We show that the kids it's very close. It's Galway United full time pro with Galway United. Have played for Ireland. Had a good opportunity with your studies because of playing with Galway. We'll talk about that. And it's just important that parents and kids out there know that if they work hard, if they work at their talent, and they realise that talent just isn't enough, that we can get to where we actually want to and dream to be, and be the best we can be. Strike Sports is all about. We've had very experienced coaches, Barry Ryan and Irene Herr, obviously two very, very talented players, but have taken to coaching just as well, and they're two really good additions. I know you've guessed it for us, Maurice. You were one of the first coaches we ever had at a Christmas camp prior to COVID. But we look at what we're trying to do is for boys and girls. Classes are small. We're an extra to their club sessions. We want them to go back to their sessions and show their buddies what they've learned, because there's more chance for it to be personal. We work on the player first, or the person first, player, and then the player. We give them plenty of time. It's all ball games based. Loads of fun, gives them loads of self-confidence. We're not trying to get them picked. We're not worried about a team on a Saturday. So they get to progress at their own rate. Plenty of 1v1s, 2v1s, and loads of game-based stuff. What we're trying to do is we're trying to actually, if I was thinking for a while, we're actually trying to make better decision makers, because I'm fully convinced of all the kids that I've seen in the last couple of years, we've buckets of talent on the ball. Decision making is probably where a lot of Clare players kind of, in all sports, kind of maybe let themselves down a small bit. So we're trying to work on that. And the classes have been going well, and unfortunately we're still in COVID, but when we get back, we're going to continue on that vein. We're going to really encourage girls to get involved with Irene and myself and Barry. Anybody that knows anything about soccer in Ireland would know Barry Ryan for being a quality goalkeeper with the League of Ireland, 450 appearances. That's a target for you there now, Maurice.
I don't know if I get that.
I don't know, but it's some career, isn't it?
Yeah, unbelievable.
So if you're lucky enough to get coached, Barry will do one-on-ones with you, or we'll be having classes, and it's good. We're looking forward to get going again. But and we obviously will have guest appearances every so often from stars like yourself. So let's get going. Maurice, you're currently League of Ireland full-time professional footballer, 21, 22 this year?
22 now, 23 in July. So.
Originally from Ennis, with your dad was a Gaelic footballer? Would he be a footballer from Kilmahan? Would he?
Far from it. My mother's from that way, right? My dad's from Clonmel. He would have played a bit of soccer, but not much.
Okay, all right. So tell me how we got here. How do we get Maurice Nugent from Ennis to Galway United's first team starting centre half? Where does it start?
It's been a long one. I suppose just hard work, really. Like back when we were younger, all we did was play football. And every day at school we play football for the hour at lunchtime. Came home from school, played football. When we get back, did the homework, went out and played football for the evening. So I suppose I just loved it from a really young age. And then as you progress, it's just a case of going through the levels. I mean, if you just keep working hard, it gets to a stage where, you can be as talented as you want, but you won't get anywhere without the hard work.
When did you realise that?
But for me, it's a bit earlier than others, I'd say, because I wasn't half as talented as most of the boys.
Now, sorry, you've said this before to me, and we spoke to the Hannons a couple of weeks ago as well, and they said the same thing. I know you maybe the last 5 or 6 years, and for somebody that didn't know you by far and away the leaders of the groups when we played Gaelic football. And obviously buckets and buckets of talent, but they both said as well that they weren't the best at under 12s and under 10s and under 14s. They were struggling to get on teams as well. I think that's huge for parents and coaches. You know, you've loads of time to develop, you know. Go on, sorry.
No, definitely. I mean, it's just the case of if you want it enough, you'll realise what you need to do to get to that level. Like, I mean, I was lucky enough to play Kennedy Cup twice. And then after that, you go to the North Munster squads. And I mean, I must have been the smallest player in that squad. I mean, I'd say whatever the squad was, 25, I was number 22 or 23 into the squad. But looking back now, I think there's only maybe 3 of us playing League of Ireland. So
probably max.
None of the boys in England. Like, so I mean, it's just a case of, you're going to be smaller than a lot of the boys, and there's going to be kids with a lot more talent. But if you can see that if you do the work, that it'll pay off in the end, then you know you're going the right direction. Like, I mean, pace would have been a massive one for me. I was as slow as a wet week when I was younger. So I remember days after school, I had ankle weights robbed off the mother, and she's doing her exercises. But we had a bit of a hill out the back garden, so I used to come home from school every evening, run up and down that hill 20 times. And I remember doing it in the dark, like in the winter. It would be dark at 4 o'clock when you come home.
Where did you get that from? Did you see it somewhere? Were you asked to do it? Were you advised, or was it just you?
Yeah, my dad would have really believed in me from a young age. Like, he kind of knew that I had something in me that he could improve, and he wouldn't ever force me to do anything. He'd be like, "Look, they're there. If you want to work in your pace, do that." And he just let me off, and it was a case of being disciplined. And he'd say the odd day, like, you'd be slow to get out, he'd say, "Go on, have a go, if you want to." Like, and that's all you need, is sometimes just a little kick, like, to get up and do it. But I loved the game. I wanted to do every minute of it. Like, so I knew what I was building towards. I knew that if I did those runs for every day for 3-4 weeks, that I'd be getting that 5 yards, so I can get the ball off that fella next time, like, you know, that kind of way.
That was your victory. That was your proof to keep going.
Exactly, yeah. Just
little wins, isn't it?
Yeah,
little victories
all the time. Just setting those small goals and getting them. Like,
do you think because you weren't the star, it helped in the long run?
I mean, I suppose if all you have to do is look back at the boys that were the stars, and I mean, their heads must have been just exploding, like, with everything that people are telling them. Like, I remember being under 15 and the boys who come back from their Irish trials and thinking they're the shite, like, and sorry, thinking they're
okay.
And just hating them, like, just wanting to be able to be good enough to push them out of the way and go past them. And thankfully I've done that.
Yeah, it's those habits that you gave yourself at a young age, though. I have a friend of mine that he may not have been the best footballer, but he ended up playing senior football for a rogue for 10 years, and the guy struggled to run. He's had 2 hip surgeries, replacements, at a very young age as well. And it was he wasn't even the best player on anything, never was, never any, but he genuinely worked harder than everybody I've ever met.
Yeah.
And he has a bigger and better career than any of the stars that would have played, do you know?
Yeah, well, that's evidence enough to suggest like that if you just put in the work that you get your reward. Like,
Yeah.
things aren't just handed to you, never will be. So you just have to go get them yourself. That's the kind of way.
Yeah, and I know you helped me out with the Kennedy Cup squad a couple of years ago as well, and we had to this famous pick in 20 from
Yeah.
we started with 55 or 6, and when they were under 11 or 12, and we had lads come in, lads fall away, lads come in. Like, it's so hard to tell a young fella that they're not selected for this squad, and especially counties like Clare, they build so much into this Kennedy Cup. It feels like a death knell to your career when you don't make a squad. Do you know what I mean? And
no, I do.
What I tried to tell the parents was, this is just here and now. This is this little pocket of your career. Yes, there's a couple of kids ahead of you right now, but that's nothing to say that when you're 17, that you won't be the best of the whole lot of them. There's nothing to stop you. But a lot of people in counties like Clare probably fall away after Kennedy Cup because I wasn't good enough for Kennedy Cup. Forget it. I'm never going to be any good at all.
Yeah.
And it's actually the opposite. What you're saying, I know you were in Kennedy Cups and stuff, but you weren't a guaranteed starter. You weren't like the star of the show. Like, do you know what I mean? And where are you now?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's hard, right, to kind of take that as a kid, to be able to have that mentality that if you're not picked, to use it as a motivation to kind of go and work harder and come back and then prove that you can be better than the guys that were picked. You, like, it's a whole case of proving your coach is wrong. I mean, football especially is just a game of opinions, like, and there's always going to be people who have the opinion that you're not good enough to be there. So just have to have the motivation to prove them wrong, like.
Yeah, and they have so much at that age, like 13, 14 years of age, there's so much time to prove everybody wrong. And what I try to tell them is, I want to be proved wrong, but I'm not going to be proved wrong as such, because I've a lot of faith in a lot of those kids to become great. But right there and then just wasn't their time. Do you know, that 13 years of age, 14 years, that's the growth spurt for those for boys, and a couple of them who were stars maybe 12 months earlier were falling over the ball.
Yeah, well, a good one is,
or having, do you know what the worst is? They get a couple of injuries. Do you know that they can't? That's worse than normal and stuff. Just at a bad time, like,
No, and there's loads of proof. Like, I know Lee Grace, who plays for Shamrock Rovers, I would have lived with him when he played for Galway, and he never made the Waterford Kennedy Cup team. And look at him now, like, he's earning fairly good money up there at Rovers.
He's earning what you will be on shortly. We'll get you a PR girl and everything. We'll have it all sorted.
Yeah.
So come here, you play with Avenue locally till about 12 or 13, was it? Kennedy Cup,
and then after that I moved on.
You moved on. Tell me about moving on, the decision to move on. How hard was it, or was it
It was a pretty easy decision. There wasn't much historically, like, after Kennedy Cup and Clare. There's never been anything to write home about, like, and I knew I wanted to better myself. So I think we looked at clubs in Limerick, but we went up to watch the Hibernia Trophy in Dublin.
When you say we?
Me and my father.
Good, yeah.
So, like, that Hibernia Trophy features an Irish team that's picked from the Kennedy Cup itself. It's an under-15 team. So it would have been the best 20 players at the Kennedy Cup. So we went up to watch that. Didn't think the standard was anyway too far away from what I could get to, but obviously a level where you want to be at, So I thought, let's go up there and give it a go, and asked Dad to bring me up for a trial for Joey. So he managed to get in contact with one of the coaches at Joey's, and we organised a trial, and they signed me then after the trial. So
had you grown a bit?
No,
still
small. Played right back for Joey's. Probably the most intense environments I've still ever played in under.
Explain that.
PDSL.
Why?
Incredible pressure on players, like, just
from
from coaches and parents.
Really? Is it because they think England is closer than ever?
Yeah, exactly.
Memberships.
Just the sidelines are just packed with people, and they're just the noise. And as you're a 15-year-old kid, like, and it's like you're playing in the Premier League, it's just unbelievable. The intensity of the games, like, and the standard of the players against, like, I marked a lot of Masterson that's playing for Liverpool. Well, he's gone on to QPR now. He played bloody left wing on me because they saw me as a small guy.
How did he get on against you?
Scored twice.
How did he get on for the other 88 minutes?
I did get an assist, so I did all right. I chopped it.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. How long were you with Joyce?
I was with them just for the year. Yeah, the travelling got too much.
It's not easy.
No,
it's a big commitment for a 15-year-old, and a bigger commitment for Dad.
Yeah, it's looking back. We're sure getting the bus up to Dublin to play the away games now, thinking, Mum, Dad, just drive this the weekend. Like, it's just insane.
I wish you had the motorway.
Yeah, I know.
Back in my day, if I had to do that, it was a lot longer, believe me. But come here, back to Merview.
Yeah.
16s.
Well, I went to Limerick first.
Yeah.
15s, and I was training away with their 19s, so it was really good for me, really good for my development. Like,
that's a big one now.
I was lucky that Declan Farmer was over their 19s, and he saw me training away with the 15s, or playing games with the Limerick 15s, and asked me up to train. So I trained the full year with their 19s, which was
very good.
And they won the league. They won the league that year. So
good. That was a big learning curve for you.
Massive, yeah.
Especially for a small lad.
Exactly, yeah. Still small at that stage, when I got my growth spurt, 16. No, yeah, it was unbelievable.
So what made you leave there then?
Came to 19s the next year, and I wanted to play. I didn't want to be on the bench, but I was still a 16 going for a 19s team, so it was going to be tough there where they had a good squad. And the manager told me, look, you're going to be number 19 or 20 on this squad. So I said,
do you know, like, for a kid that wanted to better himself, sitting on the bench probably wasn't what you wanted to do at that time, like,
Yeah.
Fair play to him.
Yeah, I went up to Merview then, and played almost every game that season for Merview. So.
And then Galway. Can I ask you, I asked Aisling the same question. When you left after Kennedy Cup, I'm sure you did as well as most of the Clare teams do normally in Kennedy Cup. We're probably where we are for a long time now. But after you left the boys and you left your avenues and you were left locally, you didn't fall out with any players. Like, you're still buddies with all these guys, and nobody has an issue with it for you trying to better yourself.
No, of course not. No, never.
It's massive to know that, because having your friends is so important. Having friends when you're growing up gives you self-confidence. Do you know? And trying to be the best you can be, we're all made differently. And we all have desires differently. Do you know? Some kids want to play for Clare in hurling. Some kids want to play in the Premiership. Somebody wants to be a junior judo champion, whatever it is. Or they want to be the best writer they can be. But to be brave enough at 14 to go out and set your stall out, that's a character trait that I would love my 7-year-old kid to be brave enough to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's massive. I just think that so many kids. Do you know the boys that you'll talk to maybe in the bar? Oh, I could have been great.
Yeah, actually, I know.
Do you know, but they didn't go out and grab it. You grabbed it at 14. This is what I want to do. Let's see. And thanks to your dad and his commitment, it was on for you. So Galway 17s.
Galway, there was no 17s league when I went up.
19s.
Straight into 19s, yeah. Johnny Glynn brought me in, and it was unbelievable. Really, there was a friendly set up with Liverpool for the first team, and Johnny pushed me into the first team for that fixture. So I got to come on 16 against Liverpool.
It's something that you told me that's going up in the car one day, dropping you back to Galway, and it's such a historic moment, a memorable moment to make your debut anyway, but to make it against Liverpool, that's like, you know, it should be all downhill from there, like.
Yeah, it
But
was.
it wasn't. That was it. That was bugged in. You're set now, aren't you?
Yeah, no, it was unbelievable. I think players like you look back and just players like Trent was playing and Ben Woodburn, and it's crazy. And
Some
yeah,
opportunity Johnny gave you.
yeah, I was very, very lucky, very grateful to him for it. And even the season after that, I would have been in and around the first team a lot, so I would have trained with the first team fairly often, and would have been on the bench. I would have been on the bench against Dundalk and Cork, and it's an unbelievable experience for a 16-year-old to see. Like,
It also kind of sold you. I mean, I'm not sure if that. What age you know? 16, 17? 17?
I was 16 still. Yeah.
Okay. Because you're still, in fairness now, you're still a highly talented multi-sporter as well. Do you know, you're tipping away with Gaelic football with Barefield.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had numerous coaches asking you on to clear panels. Like, do you know, but this was kind of justification for you to stay going at what you were doing, wasn't it?
Definitely gave me a flavour for it, like, and a desire to get to that level. I mean, I would have, like, those games. Richie Towell, I think, scored a hat trick against us, and just class seeing that. And
he's back this year, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, Liam Miller was playing for Cork, so just seeing that, like, and being involved and being so close to it, gave me a taste for what I wanted to do, and kind of that led to me then pushing soccer rather than the football. You know, that kind of way. I would have been going well at the football too, so it wasn't an easy decision either, but it was one I knew which way I wanted to go. Like.
Yeah, I met you at minor level, and Patter asked me to get involved, and like I saw you playing, and I was like, right, okay, this is obviously Barefield's loss is Galway's gain. I'd say that's the easiest way to put it. Exceptional talent, but I would have dropped you to Galway back up for training after training a couple of nights, and I knew talking to you, I knew Patter was on about maybe the county panel will be calling for him the minute he's out of minor, and they'd take him now. And I remember you kicking 45s for fun, and but I knew talking to you, I wasn't going to get into the conversation because, you know, if you loved soccer, you loved it, you were getting success from it, you were getting exposed to what it could be like. And much and all as the local players watch football, they watch Liverpool and they watch United and they watch the Premiership and they watch Champions League, I wish more of them would go to Galway United matches and Limerick City matches.
Yeah, that's another thing I would have been very grateful to my father for when I was younger. Like, he would have brought me to Terryland to watch Galway and to Jackman Park to watch Limerick, like, and Thomond Park to watch Limerick when they're in the Premier Division. So I got to see a level that
Right.
got to see a level that was definitely attainable. Like, if I knew I worked hard, I could get to that level. And even the crowds like that. I mean, the crowds at that game at Turner's Cross, it was unbelievable. There's 6,000 at it, like, shed was rocking. It's class, like, for a young fella to see that. So
yeah, absolutely. It's such a different world, but it's so close.
Exactly.
I think that's what I'm trying to get this across to, as we talk to all these local stars. You haven't had to change your world. You've just had to work hard, develop your talent, and take opportunities when they come to you.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you don't take the first one, another will come along if you work hard again. If you're knocked back, like, I can't count the amount of times I would have been knocked back in my journey to wherever I am now. But it's just a case of getting back up, dusting yourself off, and doing the work, seeing where you went wrong and doing the work to fix that and go again, like, you know.
Yeah, it's massive. I'm looking here at your FIFA 2020 card. They have you down only for 35 for passing. If I had them at the minor final in whatever 2016, that would probably be 85.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. But what I would have said was, you also put education.
Yeah.
You always had that desire to. I don't know. Do you know much about Pádraig Harrington, the golfer? He always reminded me of you. or you reminded me of him. I remember he was trying to win the South of Ireland above in Lahinch years and years ago, and he was in a semi-final or quarter-final, and his girlfriend at the time, now his wife, was asked how he's getting on, and she went, "Oh, Pádraig has gone back to the house where we're staying to study for an accountancy exam that's on Wednesday evening after the South final."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So he covered himself. He never had this air of a Darren Clark who was naturally talented and was destined, or Rory McIlroy to be the best in the world. He thought he was going to be a journeyman at best, and he worked hard at his accountancy and covered him, and then let his sporting work see where it got him, and he had that base. You did the same, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I would have. I was lucky enough to be always fairly good in school, like from even primary school up. So I was kind of always interested in it, and it was obviously always pushed at home to be doing it. So yeah, and I kind of wasn't good enough either to go across the water at 16. So the option for me then was to come to Galway, do my studies, and see where that has me then. Like so I did 4 years of electrical engineering, got my degree, and actually got a job for COVID. Like the way COVID was looking, it didn't look like the league would get back, so I decided to go for a job, and got a graduate job over in a company in England, and I would have been able to play part-time over there, but John Caulfield got in touch with me and offered me a nice deal here, so I couldn't turn it down. I have my studies, so I can have that to fall back on, and just give the football a go for a year or two and see where it takes me.
We'll come back to that in a second. What I want to talk about is your 19s. You're in you've 17 and 18. You were still playing a bit with Barefield. Obviously, we won a minor together. You were playing, I was coaching. And you were captain of the Galway 19s at this stage.
Yeah.
That helped you with financially, though, really, didn't it? Your parents financially, like you ended up getting stuff, that scholarships and stuff. What kind of happened around that? What was it made available to you then, like accommodation and stuff?
Well, the anyway Galway scholarship, it isn't as good as some of the other scholarships now, to be fair. Like if you went to UCD, you get a much better scholarship, but it was €1,000 off my fees, so it was something to the parents, and it kind of just came about when I got into college. Obviously I would have applied. Johnny Glenn would have kind of pushed me to apply for the scholarship, so yeah, and there's a connection there between Galway United and the college, so it would have been set up for, I know there's been, I think there's two guys on scholarships now that are playing with us, so there's a connection there, and it set me up well to obviously give something back to the parents, that take away from the cost of college, because I know it's fairly expensive.
Yeah. Look, at everything helps. Accommodation wise, Galway there was 4 or 5 of you in a house. I dropped you up a couple of times.
Yeah, the summers I would have been put up by Galway, so I would have had my college accommodation from whatever the semesters are, September to May, and then Galway would put me up for the summer so I could play football up there. So that always worked out nicely, yeah.
Yeah, no, like it's those little things that maybe parents don't think about, it's those little possibilities. And while in college, you played for Ireland.
Yeah, that was a really great opportunity for me. Definitely one that's probably the highlights of, close to one of the highlights of my career so far. Like, so to get to play, it's something you never think you'd be able to do, like to get to travel to Taiwan to play against Mexico,
the colleges, the universities.
The universities, yeah, the World University Games. So I was very lucky to get to go to 2 of them. I went to Taiwan in 2017, and we were played against, I think it was Mexico in the groups.
Was Ashley Meany on one of them?
Was she on both of them? I think she was, yeah.
Yeah.
She was on both of them, yeah.
No, and Gary Siri, of course.
Gary Siri is over in Taiwan, yeah. He wasn't in Italy, but yeah, she's unbelievable experience, and very lucky to get to captain the team over in Italy against Ukraine. So something
that's
like that.
massive. What age are you
Definitely,
then?
2017 I was 19, and last year I would have been 21. So
Yeah, I mean, I can't stress how proud I am to even know internationals. Like at any sport at all, to be able to represent your country at any level, whatever level you're playing at, to be able to represent your country, to be that talented, to have worked as hard as you have to get to that level. As I said, like every place you go into, has millions of thousands of people that say they coulda,
yeah,
but they don't do the work. They don't go through the pain. They don't go through the disappointments. They don't go through those hills at night behind your house when they're 13. Do you know? They don't travel to Dublin for a year to better yourself. Do you know? Like, yes, you played for Ireland and you've trained hard that summer to get on the team and stuff, but it started on those
yeah,
hills in the back of the house, like.
100%. Yeah, it doesn't just happen magically. Like, everyone sees footballers of a Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock, and see them playing the games. Like, but that's for what, 90 minutes every week. There's, I don't know how many minutes behind that
Yeah.
one 90 minutes. Like, it's,
Yeah.
I think, what do they say, 10,000 hours, is it? For
Yeah, 10,000 hours to for your muscle memory or for it to become. But it's still massive to wear that green jersey. That has to have. You want to do that again, I'm sure.
100%, yeah. Whether I'll get the chance or where I'll get the chance, I'm not sure. I was very lucky to have that university team to be involved in. It's, yeah, like the jerseys at home and the 2 caps at home are just unbelievable. Like, so.
Yeah, well, you're a full-time pro, so you're on the way. That's the first step. Like, I remember you had that chat with John Caulfield, and it was a hard decision to, let's be fair. Your League of Ireland salaries aren't going to match something in England and stuff, but you can be an engineer. You have the background now. You have the safety net. These are your years for your sporting career and to be the best you can be. And I think you made the right decision because of the hard work I know you're going to put in. I think it was a no-brainer for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're well grounded. You know what your capabilities are, and
I think the whole point of me going to college and really getting that degree is to give myself the opportunity to do this, like to give myself a year to really give it a crack and see where it can take me. Year, 2 years even, like the degree is not going to go away, so I can always find a job after that.
Yeah. While I'm listening to you, I'm just thinking of my little fella Kieran, and he has Craig up in a pedestal, Craig Casey up in a pedestal, and he's the wall filled with it. I must put up a Maurice Nugent Irish jersey clad player or Galway United. He'll certainly be going to loads of the games anyway. Maurice Nugent these are quotes I've got from a few former players with Barefield and coaches, is self-motivated, driven by the desire to be better than he could ever possibly have thought he could be. Competitive beyond being competitive, but a sportsman to the core, and has the confidence to back himself where other people may doubt. One of them is mine.
I'd love to know about the other two.
Yeah. Well, you'll be surprised. You will be very surprised. There's you've some great backing in Barefield and in Ennis, and
Sure, yeah, always be grateful to Barefield. I'd love to come back and play for them again.
Oh, you will. Don't worry. We've discussed that. We won't get into that now because we might John Coffey might have a heart attack, but there'll be plenty of time to play football. You just keep going the way you're going. So what's happening with Maurice Nugent now? Full-time pro, out on the fields with First Lady head coach.
Yeah, I suppose she is. Yeah, very impressive. She's come from Chelsea, like, so she's.
What's her name?
Lisa Fallon.
Yeah, very impressive CV.
Yeah, incredibly impressive CV. Yeah. No, she's very good. Yeah, taking a lot of the sessions. So
what's up?
It's been really good so far.
Yeah, it sounds very progressive and sounds very, not just that she's a girl, but the sessions you've been telling me about. She, like, it's, you're working on your systems and you're enjoying training, like you're genuinely enjoying it. Like,
Yeah, loving it. Sure, geez, what else?
so
It's
what's a
unbelievable
day
to
in
be
the
doing it
life
for a
of
living.
Maurice Nugent's professional footballer? What is it?
Yeah, it's gas really to say, but roll out of bed at, I don't know, 9:15, have the breakfast here, go in at 9:30, and there's tea and coffee and whatever, and chill out, and then you do your activation and your stretching, and go to the physio if you need to. Then we have a team meeting, and they'll lay out what we're going to do for training, like, and take us into different groups. So they'll take the defenders if we're working on builds down from the back. They'll take defenders, holding midfielder, and the goalie over here, and just tell them, look, this is what we're going to do today, and the strikers over the other side, like, and then we'll go out and train for 2 hours, come back in, have lunch, go back out and do a gym session, which we're all outside at the minute, obviously with COVID, and that's us then, maybe into the sea in Salthill and back home, chill out for the rest of the day, home at 3 o'clock.
Silly question though. Has it ever felt like work?
I never, no, of course not.
Have you regretted not starting your engineering career yet?
No, I say it every day. I'm delighted I made that decision.
Yeah, we so far we've had Craig Casey and his dad on, and it was the same thing. Craig hasn't worked obviously since he left college and stuff. He loves it. Desire to be the best he can be. Obviously, he didn't get on for Ireland last week, but I think he'll be on soon enough, But he adds that fire to his belly, like you not being picked for that under-15 squad for Ireland, and your buddy's been up there. It's fuel for the fire. It'll come.
Definitely.
It'll come if you just bank it,
Yeah.
and use it for motivation. The two Hannons have come through ACL injuries. Have, as you said yourself, weren't stars at 14, 15, 12, 13, 14, 15. Somebody took a punt on them at 15 or 16 and put one of them into the corner. And they're now, I would imagine, I don't imagine, I know that they're two of the leaders of the whole club.
Definitely.
The club is safe in their hands, I would say, And then Aisling Meany on scholarship in the States, and again, took the brave decision to be the best she can be, and she had help along the way as well, So I just think there's a similarity between you all.
Definitely.
There's a humbleness about you. There's a drive that deep down what you need to do, and instead of talking about it, you just do it.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Look, there's loads of time to talk when you're my age.
And the whole thing is to not leave it. So I'll do that tomorrow. Like, do it now. Like, there's no.
It's massive. That's a huge thing to say to I have a 7 and a 12-year-old. I have a 12-year-old girl at Laura Kate, and Laura Kate is pretty talented. Like, athletically, she's fine. How much she wants to win and stuff, that's debatable. But I have a 7-year-old that wants to win at everything. So like, they'll go on their own paths and stuff. But if I've learned anything from the first 4 or 5 chats that we've had now with all ye stars, it's coming from within, from all of you. So much and all as a mum or dad might want them to be, push them a little bit harder and get them out doing an extra bit. It's from inside that it's coming from you. Like, it's your dad opened the door for you. You went through it though.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah,
I think that's massive. Sorry.
You can be given all the opportunities you want, but if you don't really want it yourself and you're not willing to put in the work, then you'll never take it.
Yeah. It's been really good talking to you. Can I ask you one other thing? I listen to the High Performance podcasts so often.
Yeah, very good.
And so you've listened to it. So, couple of things they ask. 3 things, 3 non-negotiables, they call them.
Yeah. For me.
Yeah, for to be the best you can be.
To be the best you can be. I think you need to love what you're doing. You need to be willing to work hard to get better at it. And the last one, I suppose, you need to be able to take knocks and use them to motivate yourself to do more. I think be willing to be able to knock down and come back up again.
Exactly, that's brilliant, because like what you call your coach again? Sorry,
Lisa Fallon.
So Lisa comes to you, and you're playing out from the back, and you've done it this way for so long, and Lisa wants you to do it a different way, and she explains, and you understand. It's being able to be coachable as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
Leave your ego at home, basically. Yeah. Like, always want to be better. I would say wanting to be better is better than, like allowing yourself.
You need to have that willingness to learn.
Yeah, allowing yourself to make mistakes, allowing yourself to admit that you don't know the answer.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah.
Try it, and I know how brave you are to make mistakes. Like you've played professionally now, but you've played centre half, right full, left side of centre back, number 6, defensive midfielder, attacking, central midfielder. We won't go so far. The only thing I'm going to say to you is I want goals this year. I want a couple of goals.
We need them, yeah.
Surely to God you can get an old free kick.
I'll get one, don't worry.
We get back out to 45 yards out, there's no matter with you. We'll give you an O'Neill's and see how you get on. Yeah. Do you think multi-sport helped you?
Oh, 100%, yeah, without doubt. Yeah, I mean, between even fitness-wise, but obviously, don't know, it's hard to put your finger on it, really, isn't it? But it's definitely something that would have helped me growing up. I mean, I would have played hurling, obviously, until I was 14, 15. So, and football and soccer, I was just always on the go. Like, the more touches of the ball you get, the more time you spend out in the field with mates, like playing football and just playing sports, you're going to improve. Like,
yeah, there's a thing now they're talking about injuries wise when people focus on one sport. The injuries to certain parts that you're overusing certain muscles and stuff if you just play one sport and stuff. But you're also, your hand-eye coordination, your fundamental skills are improving. With all these different sports that you use to become the soccer player now you are, the hurler and footballer, the Hannans are. They played rugby and stuff, and Craig played for Kennedy Cup for Limerick and stuff. But there again, Craig missed a penalty in the Kennedy Cup semi-final. Like,
yeah, I know.
He hasn't forgotten that. He hasn't forgotten it. Like, it's fuel for him again.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, Maurice, look, I have one more question for you. So, I have a 7-year-old young fella, Kieran. What advice would you give him growing up in Ennis and the surrounds? What would you advise? How, if you were talking back to yourself, what would you wish you had been told?
Back to myself, just get out as much as you can, play as much ball as you can, and enjoy it. Like, at that age, you just need to. There's no real thinking about high performance or anything like that. Just go out and play.
He's trying to be his father, I tell you that every day. Anyway, it's not that hard, no, in fairness.
No, just enjoy it. Spend less time on the PlayStation, I suppose, and get more time out kicking an actual ball. Yeah,
that's big, all right. In fairness, the rainy days, the PlayStation might come out, but yeah, try and get out and enjoy loads of sports. Be a tennis champion when tennis is on, and be a.
Yeah, I was always mad for that, right? I'd say we bought a dartboard, a pool table, tennis rackets, whatever was on, I was always watching. So.
Yeah, Maurice, it has been a pleasure. I'm really looking forward to this. I know it took us a while to get it sorted, but you're a busy man now. Thanks very, very much. I really appreciate chatting to you. I know anyone that listens to it, bar having to listen to me, would be very, very interested in listening to you. As I said, the kids locally, it's there for them. There's opportunities there that was never there before. There's people out there that want to help, and we at Strike want to help. We want to help in any way we can, we're going to be there. We're going to be having after school classes, and we're going to be really making ourselves. We're doing one-on-ones and with a few kids, and we'll be back doing them as well. And we're trying to really focus on the player.
Yeah.
And we can improve their skills, and we can improve their first touch, and we leave it and give them advice tactically, and when they move up the ages to where team play or me and my buddy and 1-2s and 4v4s and stuff as they go up. But I think the most important thing I've got from you is it comes from within, whether you want to actually practice or not.
Yeah, and you'll see that the kids that want to be better will come to you and still ask, I need to improve at this. How do I do it? And that's all they need to do. If they come and do those sessions, they'll find that they'll go back into their games much better players.
Great. Thanks a million. I really appreciate it. And I just want to say really best of luck for the season. I'll be up there. I'll probably be sitting beside Johnny, probably discussing how you're improving each game. But I'm setting you a target of 4 goals this season.
I can do that, yeah.
You can do that. So listen, the very best of luck for the season, and mind yourself.
Right. Cheers, Kieran. Thanks for the chat.